Well, it's no substitute for caffeine. If you have no other option, it's pretty good. Again, starting to run low on supplies. Really could use some coffee. Good afternoon. Welcome back. It's been quite some time since my last confession. Actually, the 365 days without services alone target has come and gone. In fact, as of this filming, it's been 376 days alone out here. Generally, I would say that my experience has been a positive one, but I am now running quite thin on supplies. Most depressingly, I am completely out of coffee. But apart from coffee, I'm out of all of my dried fruits, a bunch of spices, and various other rather important food groups. I'm running dangerously low on my proteins. And so my primary food stores are comprised mostly of carbohydrates. Like I've got flour, rice, and pasta, quite a bit of that actually. I've been supplementing my diet with multivitamins. That's not ideal. So I thought today we could go do some foraging. There's plenty of plant species in the area that are edible and quite nutritious, and so hopefully we can find something to supplement my diet and try and fill in some of those food groups. Apart from that, I noticed on a general inspection of my drone that I've got some blades that are beginning to crack, maybe from the incident that I had a few videos back, but regardless, I'm running low on blades and other supplies, so we're going to have to model, print, and test some replacement blades. Without further ado, let's go. So I'm just heading up the ridge here. There might be better odds. Put my hat on so I don't get tree debris into my hair. There may be better odds that we can find something edible up here. I've also strapped on my bear spray. I'm in Canada, so we can't very easily carry a firearm. And in fact, even if I had a firearms license, I don't think we'd be allowed to carry one just for bear defense, unless we were out hunting. Anyway, that being said, bear spray and/or a horn, probably one of the better defenses for a bear anyway, at least a black bear. Oh, hey, check this out. Oops. These are red huckleberries. I'm pretty sure that's what those are. Absolutely. Oh, and there's lots of them. Look. Oh, now this is a score. They're everywhere. I think that's good for now. I'm gonna go back and get that container. Come and pick some huckleberries. Apologies, this video is not connected directly to the last one. It was a different day when I was originally scouting around for edible fruits and berries. I didn't even look at the shoreline, but I found this massive patch right here that runs the entire length up to the rock of Salal Berry. Salal, I believe that I'm pronouncing that correctly. They're pretty good. I mean, they're not bitter or anything. But they're not terribly sweet. Bit like a blueberry. It'd make a good jam, I think. can see it forms clumps of berries. They're even a little bit easier to pick than the huckleberries. Although, I think I like the taste of huckleberries a little better. Salal. Yeah, they're just all along the beach. Well, I'm gonna go get some more berries today, but once again, make sure to remember my bear spray. Something you should really consider if you're after the same foods as a bear. So anyway, guess I'll get this applied. Just kidding. I'm sure most people would know that, of course, you don't spray this on yourself as a deterrent like bug spray. That would make for a very uncomfortable berry picking session. Yeah, I haven't actually discharged any of this can yet, and so maybe that'd be a good thing just to test, obviously somewhere away from my camp. Not only because apparently it's pepper spray, so it may attract animals, but also if there's a light breeze and it blows into my tent, it could make for an uncomfortable night. Let's go test this out, and I'll show you how it works. Thankfully, I've never had to use it on a bear. I've encountered a few bear while I've had some on me, but they hadn't been, they didn't try and charge me, they didn't appear aggressive, they just kind of walked away. It doesn't mean that your experience with a bear might not be worse. Those were likely not habitualized bears. In the event that a bear begins to charge you, sometimes they do something called a false charge. Now, I'm not going to make any recommendations here, but I have to admit that even with a false charge, I'm going to use bear spray. I haven't used any of this yet, so it's a good thing just to maybe test it. I've got 10 seconds worth of spray in this can. What I would do in the event that a bear is approaching, have it ready, and if he looked like he was about to charge, take this clip off, and so as soon as he starts to charge, even at 15 or 20 feet away, I would say, "Hey!" and give him a spray, and keep spraying and hold down that nozzle as he comes into that plume. And I wouldn't even let up until he's changed direction. But you can see it's not a tight spray, right? You don't have to be super accurate, but you want there to be already some pepper spray in the air by the time the bear comes into range, I would say. I think, by and large, this would be quite effective against most encounters where they're starting to charge, especially if they're just doing a test charge on you. Well, running into a little cloud of this, they're not going to have any interest in charging you anymore. As I mentioned, it's another day, much nicer today. This whole area is just full of them. There's a whole big patch of huckleberries. Anyway, I've already picked through here, but you can see, oh, these are some nice huckleberries right here. There's a huge patch of them. See them everywhere. All of these little trees here growing in the shade of these old growths. Just a bunch of huckleberry bushes. Beautiful. It's a good find. This is one find, and I'm going to keep looking for some other edible plants in the area. But honestly, these are a bit of work to collect, but they're high in vitamin C and other good stuff. Now, there are a lot of fungi around that would be edible, I'm sure, but one has to be very careful about what fungus you eat. And so I want to make sure that I identify it very well. This is not chicken of the woods here, but I have seen some around. And so if I spot it again, I'll make sure to grab it. But every day now I've come out and grabbed, a little bucket of these huckleberries. And you can do quite a bit with them. Tonight I'm going to make some tea. This is a great supplement to my diet out here for now. Primarily what I have left is grains, which is a bunch of carbohydrates. So the only other thing I need to find is some protein. Now, As I said before, I'm not going to hunt, but I do have a crab trap and a saltwater license, so I might take the boat out in the next day or so and see if I can get some crab. But I'm going to enjoy these tonight. Huckleberry oatmeal, huckleberry flatbread. Well, I'm up here in the lab tent. Now, I had just done some drone shots, and I realized that one of the propellers has a crack in it. I think this crack, I wonder if I can show this to you really well. Maybe I'll use the other camera. But that crack, right there. Now, it's probably fine. I bet you I could fly that for quite a long time, but my concern is that if as it's flying, the vibration or, just the aerodynamic load breaks that tip off, there'll be quite an imbalance there. And I'm sure this thing could handle that imbalance, but I'd rather not take a chance. Once again, I can't really get a replacement. This has been a fantastic little drone. Now, this is the DJI Mini 2. In case you're wondering, here in Canada, the drones are regulated, but if it's under 250 grams, you don't need a special license to fly it. You still have to be wary of where you're flying it. You can't just fly them anywhere. You have to verify your local area that you're not in Class C airspace or, various places. But thankfully, these things come with, you can update them as well, but a geo map that'll tell you where you can and cannot fly. That being said, as far as I know, with the exception of Class C airspace, it won't necessarily stop you from flying in an area where you shouldn't. It just means that that's an area that you should probably get permission before you fly in. It's just an aside. But anyway, this there's a new version of the Mini, and it doesn't have a 4K camera. So I'm happy that this one survived its crash multiple times now. Although I've only crashed it into those trees once. You may have seen the video, one of my previous videos, where I was doing some scenery shots and it crashed into the trees. After replacing the blades, the blade on that drone, I got to thinking maybe now's a good time to try and model it up and make a replacement that I can print. Right. And so I've replaced the blades on the drone. You can see our new 3D printed propeller blades there. So we're going to do a test here first, just to make sure I don't shed a blade. I made the hubs a little bit thicker than they were on the originals, just to compensate for the fact that this material is likely not as strong. You'll notice on a propeller that it's got a twist to it, and for those that are unfamiliar, you can imagine each point on that propeller a distance further away from the center of the axis of rotation, it's actually traveling more distance. And you can figure that out using pi. If you take the radius from the center, multiply it by pi, that's 3.14-ish, you'll get the total distance it travels in one revolution. Well, as you move out from the center, you increase the radius, the distance that it travels, so radius times pi, is increased. So if you want the entire propeller blade to travel the same amount of distance as it turns one rotation, you need to twist the blade accordingly. And the astute viewer might notice that the hub, or the center of this blade, is not actually the center of the axis of rotation. You see they're screwed, there's a little bit of a distance there. That makes a difference. I accounted for that. So I'll put these CAD models up on GitHub as well, for anybody that has one of these. That being said, no warranty. I don't make any claims to whether or not this will be successful, and well, you're going to see very shortly if they work or if they fail. Okay, moment of truth.
Take off.
I'll hit the record button here. And we'll do some flight tests. I wanted to do it in this wooded area. Might not seem like the best place, but if I shed a blade or it breaks for some reason, I don't want it falling right into the ocean. I'm not sure if this is the best plan, but that's what we're going to go with. Well, so far so good. Okay. Or what's forgiving about making a propeller for something like this is that it has an IMU on board, or it's a MEMS accelerometer that actually stabilizes this drone, calculates the amount of thrust that it needs to apply to each quadrant in order to keep it level and straight. And so if there's a variance in the blade, the blade's geometry is a little bit different, so its thrust is different. The computer on board should calculate for those variances, and so as long as it's close. And so this is apparently close enough. I think we're ready. We're ready for a more serious test. Here's why I'm a little nervous about this, because if I shed one of these blades, it's almost certainly going to go off course at best. And given that the area around here is basically all water,
Take off.
I guess let's go for it. I want to find its climb performance because I know what it is generally, and my top forward speed. So let's try that. I'm just getting a shot of that boat that's crossing over there. Battery consumption seems to be right on par. So we're going to follow this boat here. You know what? I think its flight characteristics are a little bit better. Either way, this thing is performing just fine with those blades, and I can just print new ones whenever I need to. I've been hearing an animal. I think it's a deer, but it could be a little bear, like a young 1-year-old or so. Hear that? I think I've got a friend here. Hey! Hello? Hello? Hey! well, this is slightly dangerous. Okay. Grab my phone. I got my bear spray, of course. Put on some better clothes. Deal with a bear. Hey! Oh, there he is. Well, it was a little unnerving, although he really, again, I've been very lucky with all of my bear encounters over the years that I haven't encountered yet a particularly aggressive bear, or one that was hungry, or felt threatened, or felt their territory is being encroached on. You know, there's many cases where, you know, black bears in general, can be a big problem. But that being said, I've encountered quite a few. I've been pretty lucky. Not trying to make any recommendations whatsoever. I'm certainly not an expert, but for what it's worth, and let me know if anybody knows any better in the comments, but it seems to me that he might be around this area because of the salal berries. My solar panels happen to be smack dab right in the center of a beautiful ripe berry patch. That might explain why I've heard him over the last few days. Probably enjoying a great deal of berries, just like myself. But gonna stay sharp, keep my ears open, and obviously have my bear spray on me if I'm going to hike. But, anyway, I think that's all for this video. I hope you found that interesting, and we'll see you next time.